Alright, listen, what do you get when you combine having no money in the bank account as well as not being good enough at football? The FNG YouTube channel. Sheffield United, who are newly promoted to the Premier League, but after suffering massive financial issues last season and only potentially getting weaker as a squad this campaign, are Sheffield United genuinely as doomed as they seem to be? People are saying they're getting 3 points this season, you know. Bold to even assume they'll get a win. Jack Grealish has more points on his license than these lot are putting together in the Prem. Now, I'm going to give some context here, because on the face of it, right, the average Don, Sheffield United getting back to the Premier League so quickly after being relegated from the top flight just seems like normal activity. Obviously, with parachute payments, with all the Premier League TV money, it's not easy, but it's kind of easier to get re-promoted in comparison to, like, Preston North End. No offense, Preston North End, South End, West End. But Sheffield United last season were going through catastrophic financial issues. They weren't even able to pay for certain facilities around the club. The training ground, I think, got shut down at one point. They couldn't afford under soil heating or some shit, so the company that they get it off just like switched the electric off. Do you know how mad it is being a recent Premier League club and BT just cut off your connection? The scouts have been mobile hotspotting now for at least 4 months.
Fucking hell, man.
There's no Wi-Fi in the vicinity. Their own training ground sent them an invoice and the board of directors couldn't handle it, mate.
So we don't have the capacity.
Their chairman was playing hardball when a player came to them asking for a Premier League pay rise.
I ain't got that sort of money.
I'm not paying 13 quid.
Meanwhile, the Blades boss is in for a shock when he realises how much the board have given him in wages per month.
Fuck off. 2.5 grand.
And I mentioned the manager, Paul Heckingbottom, who I think was caretaker when Sheffield United were last in the Prem. This guy has got a almost impossible job on his hands. A lot of the spotlight has been on Luton Town being in the Prem. They've got an away end that has a microwave oven in it. But equally, they have been prepared financially. They've been really savvy with their money all the way up through the leagues, from the National League all the way to the Prem. Sheffield United have been going through those massive financial problems, and it's told during the transfer window because they've not been able to sign a lot of their best players onto good contracts for longer than this season, and it's led to their best players leaving. Like Sander Berge has gone Burnley. How are you going to sell your second best player to another team that just arrived?
Burnley can fuck off.
Yeah, cool, the Wi-Fi's on, but now Burnley are probably staying in the Premier League instead of you. But obviously the main one has been Berge and Ndiaye, who was their best player last season. Talisman, exciting player, and of course represented Senegal at the World Cup. That was kind of always going to happen. I don't blame them for that. But they could have got more money for both of those players if they'd been able to tie them down to longer contracts last season. Just hit my mind. And instead, they're selling them for cut price deals because they're not entirely sure if they're gonna, leave on a free. Quite a lot of players obviously left last season when their contracts ran out in 2023. There's even more players who are entering the final year of their contract now. Sander Berge was one. I think Ndiaye was 2. But all 3 of their goalkeepers and a total of 16 players have their contracts expiring at the end of the season. Now, if no contracts are dished out between now and the end of this year, Sheffield United are going to be putting dinner ladies in the squad in the Championship next year. Poor Heckingbottom, man, he's gonna have his work cut out when the club's assistant kit man has to start training as a central midfielder.
You don't have future. You can never make it. You're supposed to be a dinner man.
The players out of contract, I'm gonna read them out. They include Foderingham, their starting goalkeeper right now, Egan, the centre-back, Lowe, Basham, Bogle, Fleck, Osborne, McBurney, Norwood, Danny Jebison. There's basically anyone that wasn't signed this transfer window, and Ryan Brewster. Everyone that isn't them, they're out of contract this summer. I'm telling you now, this Sheffield United v Derby County playoff Royal Rumble tables, ladders and chairs is going to be something that you do not want to miss out on. Genuinely, like, they put up a decent fight against Nottingham Forest, 2-1 there. Arguably could have won that game, really. Get prepared, Blades fans. I'm not going to lie. Just allow it, innit? Just at the end of the day, your club's going to be walking back into the Championship after the world's first automatic January relegation. Do you think William Osula can deal with Liverpool? 3 minutes of gegenpressing and he's gonna be on the floor. Bring Leicester back or something. Or like loan them Dewsbury Hall for the year. Like, we've got to try and help them somehow. You know what's actually mad as well for Sheffield United is there's genuinely an argument to say that they've got worse since the start of last season. Now don't get it twisted, they brought in players who I will talk about in a second because they have added a little bit of quality here and there. But I already mentioned Ndiaye, who was their best player. I've already mentioned Sander Sander Berge, who was their second best player when he could be asked. On top of that, Kieran Clark is no longer at the club. I think he was on loan. You know it's bad, by the way, when you're missing Kieran Clark from the starting 11, and it's actually a problem for you.
What's he getting? That tastes like
relegation.
But more crucially than that was the two Manchester City loanees in Tommy Doyle and James McAtee. Now, McAtee especially is quality. Pep Guardiola's already said that he wants to use him in the Prem at some point this season. You're not getting them back because the actual permanent fee Sheffield United can't afford. So that's now like 5 players that were genuinely important to them last year who they've lost this year. And I mentioned Man City players there. Sheffield United are playing Man City next. Oh, God forbid. I pray for these lot. They're getting put in a Bosch dishwasher. There's no way Sheffield United are making it out of this alive. Imagine Erling Haaland's reaction to seeing Sheffield United next up on the fixtures list. Though, to be honest, I am looking forward to a hard-working man from Sheffield attempting to deal with Erling in the penalty area. Imagine being a poor Sheffield United fan, watching Man City go forward and add another in the 6th minute.
Oh no! Oh no! You're having a laugh! It's 4-0!
What they are going to need to do, and this is such a cliche, is make their ground a fortress. And I mean, but genuinely, because they got relegated during the COVID season, I want to say, so there wasn't that sort of rallying of the troops from the fans. But I genuinely don't think any amount of cheering and spurring on can save them from the fate they're about to suffer this weekend. Goalkeeper Wes Fodringham won't want to make eye contact with any of his defenders when his team's 11-0 down at half-time. Meanwhile, Edison, you might as well crack out some hobbies or something. Do something else whilst this game's happening. Kevin De Bruyne, with his one current leg, could probably get an assist in this match. Joshko Gvardiol explained the diet he's going to be keeping to in order to prepare for this game.
8 o'clock in the morning, I'll have fish and a rice cake. At 10 o'clock, I'll have fish. At 12 o'clock, I'll have fish and a rice cake.
Meanwhile, Calvin Phillips has just got it. He's still not getting any game time against a side that's League One quality. No, I'm kidding, by the way. Sheffield United fans, before you come at my throat hit pause, before you come at me here, look, there's genuinely some good players that play for Sheffield United. They're just, in my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of Blades fans' eyes as well, not ready for the Premier League right now. I said I'd get onto the transfers in because I think there is a little bit of like actual praise that needs to be put on to Sheffield United. They've not spent that much money. Not a surprise because of the situation they find themselves in. But a couple of deals have been really good. And I'm going to start with Gustavo Harmer, who they signed from Coventry. Sick. Like, genuinely one of the best players in the Championship from what I could tell. He looks quality and obviously scored a banger on his debut for the club as well. So he looked good v Forest. That Vinicius Souza guy as well. They signed him from Espanyol, or a team in La Liga. But on top of that, obviously they signed Aaron Trusty from Arsenal, a young defender from there. Yassine Arucci, who used to be a youth prospect at Liverpool before we sold him. Tom Davies has come in as a free agent after leaving Everton. They got Benny Traore and a guy called Ben Slimani, who they signed from the Danish league. Now, a lot of these players are quite young. They're definitely going for a let's sign players and then sell them on for profit kind of approach. Not sure the profit's going to be that much after scoring 4 points all season. But there's some interesting signings there. Not many of them, if any of them at all, apart from Tom Davies, have actually played in the Premier League before. Meanwhile, they are also in talks with Manchester United to sign young winger Facundo Pellistri on loan, which would be pretty good. He came on against Tottenham and did way more than Anthony did in about 3 minutes. To be honest, I don't know how much he's going to enjoy living up in Sheffield as a man from South America. Imagine him in training trying to understand what a man from Barnsley is telling him.
What's it? You want it? Tell me then.
This poor kid's gonna arrive for a team meeting before realizing that he cannot speak Yorkshire. So what's the moral of the story? Are Sheffield United genuinely as bad as people think they're going to be? To be honest with you, before they signed a couple of players more recently, the answer is probably yes. You know, you can't lose probably 4 of your best 5 players in one window after getting promoted from the Championship, kind of against all the odds as it is, and then expect to do anything in the Premier League whatsoever. Gustavo Harmer is a really, genuinely good player. If they get Pellistri, I think he'll do pretty well for them as well. But overall, the financial instability has put them in a bit of a predicament in more the long term than the short term. So many players being out of contract this year, still kind of suffering a little bit financially and not being able to give those players new contracts, is going to leave them with a squad that looks very, very empty next year if they don't, rectify that situation. It's already stung screwing them badly in the sense of Ndiaye and Berge leaving for much less than they should have done. You know, Ndiaye is like a 35, 40 million pound player at least, and Sander Berge, I think they sold for 15 mil. In this economy, where Caicedo is going for 115 mil, Berge is at least 30, like if we're being realistic. But I think if you're a Sheffield United fan, yeah, you've just got to I think they're already tempered, the expectations, but I think at the end of the day, last season, Sheffield United were in deep trouble of not being able to pay the bills. At the very least, the money they're going to earn from being in the Premier League, TV rights, and even if they do get relegated, then parachute payments as well, is going to help them and is going to probably save them in the long run. So the one main positive, really, I think Sheffield United fans can take from all of this is that they shouldn't be in a situation like they were last year, this year, or next year. But let me know what you guys reckon down in the comments section. I want to know what you guys think about this. Will Sheffield United even stay up this year? If you're a Blades fan, then let me know what you're thinking about the campaign as well. But if you enjoyed this one, then feel free to slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.